Good afternoon, everyone. Namaste. My name is Alex Baker, and I am the Labour Party's candidate to be Aldershot and Farnborough's next Member of Parliament. It is a huge privilege to be with you today alongside my friend, Councillor Alex Crawford. And I want to say thank you to President Prem Magar and the Non-Resident Nepali Association for inviting me and for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. We owe a tremendous debt in this country to the service and sacrifice of our Gurkha veterans and serving military personnel, and it is humbling to be in the room with those of you today. We see it on days like Remembrance Sunday, just this November gone, when the march past the Cenotaph in London was led by the Gurkha Brigade Association and the British Gurkha Welfare Society, an example of the proud history of service stretching back generations. We also see it in special contribution that our Nepali friends and neighbours make in our community, not least through fantastic events like the Gurkha Cup, which I had the pleasure of attending yesterday. I want to serve all parts of our community if I'm given the honour of serving as your MP, and that includes working with everyone in this room and beyond to resolve the issue of Gurkha pensions. Let me share with you how I feel about this issue and how I would like to work with you to achieve justice. First, and above all, this, for me, is a matter of respect. It is a matter of having respect for you. We're lucky to live in the home of the British Army, and in this country, we look after people who have served in our armed forces. Everyone who puts their lives on the line should have a decent home and a decent pension. And we need to support Nepali people who have made their lives in this country and also want to hand on something to their families and the next generation. That's why one of the first things I did when I became selected as the Labour Party's candidate was to invite John Healey, who I very much hope will be our next Defence Secretary, to meet with Major Judd and Gurkha veterans in February. Together we met with your colleagues, heard your experiences, and privately I discussed with John how we can find a way forward. Separately, my Labour colleague Shabaji took Major Judd and Gyanjai Rai to meet the Shadow Veterans Minister. So I understand that the issue of pensions has been a long and painful march. I know how many of you have fought and advocated tirelessly for many years to secure justice for our Gurkha veterans. And I know how you have met politicians along the way who have made promises and let you down. So I speak to you today with humility, because I know that this is a complex issue, not one that can be solved with a wave of a magic wand overnight. But let me offer you this thought. Many veterans and their families have told me how they are struggling to get by. The state is currently paying them a limited pension with one hand, and then with the other hand, the state is also having to provide benefits and allowances because that pension isn't good enough to make ends meet. Surely it would be more efficient and more respectful going forward for the government to pay a proper pension in the first place. That is something I would like to explore further and champion. I have already been advocating for commissioning a study by a think tank or an academic body to analyse the numbers to help us make the case to decision makers. Sadly, as you know, there has been no real progress on Gurkha pensions over the past 14 years. It will fall to the next government, the next Defence Secretary, and the next Work and Pension Secretary, and the next Prime Minister to resolve this issue. So here is what I can promise you today. If I am elected, I will be your friend and your advocate in Parliament. I am standing in this election because I believe our community needs a dedicated local MP, someone who lives here, who spends time here, and works with community leaders to solve difficult issues. And that is exactly what we need to do to make progress. In my career, I've delivered national policy in Westminster. I've worked in Parliament and successfully changed the law, so I know how to get things done. The Labour Party will always be a friend of our Gurkha and Nepali community. You will know it was a Labour government led by Tony Blair and Gordon Brown that awarded our Gurkhas with residency rights, pension credit, and equal pay with serving British soldiers. Change is possible if we work together and make our voices heard in this election and beyond. I believe we can make a real difference to our friends and neighbours. And I will be with you, shoulder to shoulder, all the way. Thank you. Namaste.